It's depending on what type of segment you're looking at. I wouldn't say it's an issue if you're looking at standing stock, existing buildings that are, let's say, well managed. Then for the portfolios, the effect of the rent regulation or Mietpreisbremse, as it is called in Germany, they won't have a substantial effect. But if you have under-rented properties, so if you're more like the opportunistic guy trying to extract the rental uplift potentials in the German residential market, it will be much harder for you to execute your plans, or possibly you're unable to execute your plans in the time frames you're used to as an opportunistic investor. So for them it's getting harder. I think the hard thing will be, as it looks right now, for the new build stock, the new rent regulation will mean more or less that the rents will stay on the level when you rented them out first time on the open market, because after that the rent has not to go below the level of the first time letting, or it has to be on the comparable rent in the open market, as the comparables, I would say, are normally lower for a 5-year-old building than the rent you achieved in the first letting. So I would say it will limit rent increases on new build stock. What will be the effect? So I think new construction will not start to boom, I would say, given the regulatory theme you have in the market, and therefore the regulation will not solve the problem. It will just cure a little bit of the effects of the fundamental problem that we are simply not building enough stock. And what can happen is possibly some more people will be pushed into the owner-occupier market because they simply cannot find the rental apartment. On the other hand, I think the market has proven to be very creative to extract money from possible tenants. So if you cannot raise the rents above a certain level, the question is what alternatives ways can clever market participants find to extract the willingness to pay from households that have the money. And what we figure out in, let's say, 3 or 4 years' time is, yes, we have a rent regulation, possible rent increases have been limited, but who is getting the apartments? The apartments are not getting the low-paid workers, that are still will be the high-paid workers that get the apartments. So at the end, I suppose the government will say, okay, we are clever again and need another regulation for that. Mm-hmm. So at the end we come to a regulatory spiral that the owners will have to document who visited the apartment, what was the criteria, why you rented out to whom. At the end, that's not improving the supply side, it's simply improving the government side, and you will have low. And the other thing is, yes, we have the regulation, but who is controlling the regulation? Nobody else is asking about the costs of controlling the regulation. Everybody is quite happy that we now have a regulation in place. But at the end you have to control it, otherwise it doesn't make sense. And where should all the government employees come from, and who should pay for them? And at the end, so we get to something that is not solving the housing problem we have and at the other end we are just talking about, let's say 5 to 10% of the whole German cities where this really is an issue. Go to some of the little further out smaller towns, there nobody is afraid about rent increases. Everybody is happy if rent stays stable if you're an owner. Most of the time you have declining rent. So it's an issue that you have in a couple of cities in Germany that is now made a general German election theme, that at the end will make the operation in the market, I would say, more difficult, especially in the new build segment, and will not solve any problem. It will just, I would say, push down construction activity again that was just turning the corner and was increasing.